Hi, guys. Second part of chapter 11. I left you at the cliffhanger. Don't you hate that? That's where I would have stopped in the middle of the last of the really greats. All right, here we go. Just then, a shot was fired nearby. The Indians grew suddenly silent. I heard another shot. A moment later, hoofbeats pounded away, fading into the distance. They're gone, cried Mother. Her voice cracked, turning into a sob. Now, this is stuff that we've not heard about Mother yet. She's crying right now. And do you remember how Mary Ellen felt towards her stepmom at the beginning of this? She's like, oh, she's always telling me what to do. Oh, then towards a little bit, she got a little bit more caring, especially when Lavina was sick and little Cynthia came down with illness. She just is finding a new way of thinking about her mother. Not what she always thought she was she? And now she's crying. It was a scary thing. I couldn't believe it. What had happened to drive them away? I crawled to the opening of the wagon cover. It was true. All of those Indians had disappeared, vanished like smoke. And then I understood why. To our rear, up on a small ridge, I could make out a party of 3 or 4 hunters. Behind them was a broad cloud of dust that could only be another wagon train. Levine and I laughed with relief. Mother was crying. John seemed to be half laughing and half crying as he told the story of how the Indians had forced him off his horse. Putting down his rifle, Father went to comfort Mother. As I took Cynthia out of Mother's arms, tears were streaming down her plump cheeks. Don't yike them, she sobbed, clinging to my neck. We were relieved to find Blackie quietly grazing a short distance away, and soon the hunters came riding up. One lean and gray-haired, and the other weather-beaten, another big with easy smile, and a boy about John's age. We heard you shouting and saw the Indians, the older one said, his blue eyes bright against the leathery brown skin. We figured something must be wrong, so we fired up our guns. Thank you, was all Father and Mother and the Grants could say over and over again. Could you imagine what would have happened if these guys hadn't come upon them? A little scary. When the rest of their long wagon train caught up with us, Father talked to its captain, a man named Joab Powell. He agreed to take us under his protection. We had not seen such a large wagon train with so many people and vast herds of cattle and horses since our first days out from Independence. That night, all the wagons were arranged in a circle. The tongue was that part that sticks out that the horse gets attached to. So it's not like a tongue in your mouth. It's a wagon. It'd be like almost a backwards hitch to your car, except for it would be in the front. Make sense? The tongue of one was attached to the rear of the wheels of the next, forming a kind of fence. Inside this tight, safe corral were all our animals, the horses securely picketed to stakes, and ourselves. And Captain Powell posted guards in shifts to keep watch for Indians all night long. Will they come back? Asked Lavina, when at last we were putting on our night clothes. Her eyes were big in the lamplight, and her fingers clutched at the neck of her nightgown. I don't think so, Father reassured her. It is not that the Indians were on the warpath with the whites. They just saw a small party and thought they could overpower us and take off with our animals. But now that we are part of a large wagon train, I believe we are safe. I couldn't stop thinking about that young Indian who had thrown his lasso at me. If he had caught me, would he have dragged me away? I asked Father. Father was silent for a moment, and his voice was sober when he replied, We can't know for certain what he would have done, but remember, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Good night, Mary Ellen. Try to go to sleep now. Scary. Father didn't say, oh, no, he wouldn't have done it. He just said, you can't really know for sure. It's a little frightening. Okay, ready? I wrapped myself in Grandma's quilt, trying to put aside the troubling pictures all jumbled up in my head so I could sleep. Little by little, the evening sounds of camp grew quiet. Fires died out, and everyone but the guards went off to bed. I could hear a low, indistinct murmur talk from the next wagon. A horse gave a muffled whinny. A touch of breeze rustled the wagon cover for a moment, then moved away. Somewhere far off, a wolf howled. At that, dogs began to bark, large dogs and little dogs, deep baying voices and shrill yapping ones, and Rover's familiar growl. If any Indians tried to sneak up on this camp, I thought sleepily, surely they would be frightened away. I think she's feeling a little bit better and able to sleep.